The overly bright studio lights began to dim as the crew packed up their equipment. It was supposed to be a normal day, just a short filming session for a project that brought Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan together after so long apart. But from the start, something felt different. A warmer silence than usual, gazes that lingered too long to be called coincidence, and pauses that seemed to hold unspoken words. Just as the last camera was still rolling, Yibo bowed his head, playing with his fingers, a gesture that always appeared when he was nervous or didn't know what to do. Across from him, Xiao Zhan sat silently, but his silence was not empty. It was like a calm storm, full of feelings that wanted to come out, but were held back. Yibo glanced at the camera, then back at Xiao Zhan, and in a near-silent second, he gave a small nod. Only the closest crew members saw it. Then Yibo's hand moved slowly, giving a simple but clear signal: turn off the camera. One of the crew members, who had long understood his body language, immediately understood. The small screen dimmed, the indicator light changed from red to black, and the studio, which had been full of noise, became quieter, leaving only the hum of the air conditioner and the breathing of two men who had stood on the same stage for years, then walked their own paths, but somehow always met again at unplanned points. As soon as the camera was completely turned off, Xiao Zhan exhaled deeply, as if releasing the burden he had been holding since morning. He slowly rose from his chair, his body moving closer to Yibo, his step steady but containing an indescribable tension. Yibo did not move, only staring at the approaching shadow. No one on the crew dared to speak. Technically, they were still working, but everyone knew they had to give them space. Space that was never written in the contract, but understood by all. Xiao Zhan stopped right in front of Yibo. The dim studio lights made the lines on his face look softer than usual. Something trembled slightly at the corner of his lips, not a full smile, but something more sincere, like someone who wanted to make sure that the person in front of him was really there after a long time apart. Yibo. His voice came out softer than he intended. The name sounded like a whisper that was almost lost in the air, but Yibo heard it clearly. Yibo lifted his face, and their eyes met. There was exhaustion, there was unacknowledged longing, there was a hint of doubt, but most strongly, there was relief. "I'm here," he replied briefly. Two simple words, but enough to make Xiao Zhan's chest warm in a way he couldn't explain to anyone. He had long avoided the feelings that arose every time he was by Yibo's side. But that day, after the cameras stopped rolling, he didn't want to hold back anymore. Small steps brought them closer. No choreography, no instructions, just natural movements that seemed to have been programmed into their bodies long ago. Xiao Zhan reached out first, hesitating for a split second, as if worried that Yibo would pull away. But Yibo didn't move. Instead, he rose from his seat, leaning forward slightly, giving a wordless answer. The embrace didn't happen because of some dramatic impulse, nor because of a desire to be seen or recorded. The embrace was gentle, warm, and completely real. Xiao Zhan hugged him slowly, not too tightly, but close enough to make Yibo close his eyes for a moment. The familiar scent that had been present every day during the filming of their drama returned, and all the memories wrapped in time seemed to unfold one by one. The exhausting days, the laughter only they understood, the little surprises, the unspoken gestures, and all the moments that made their relationship more than just colleagues. There was no dialogue during the embrace. They didn't need to speak. Some crew members stood up straight as if they wanted to watch, but quickly lowered their heads again, understanding that this was a private moment that should not be disturbed. Time seemed to slow down. Yibo felt Xiao Zhan's steady heartbeat, while Xiao Zhan felt Yibo's warm breath on his shoulder. This was not a farewell hug or a dramatic reunion hug. It was a hug of honesty. A hug that only happens when two people finally stop fighting with their own feelings. After a moment, Yibo slowly released the embrace, but did not completely pull away. His hand remained on Xiao Zhan's arm. as if afraid of losing contact too quickly. "I think I've gotten used to not seeing you," Yibo said in a low voice, almost expressionless, but anyone who knew him knew that this was Yibo's way of hiding his feelings. Xiao Zhan stared at him for a long time before answering. "You don't have to get used to it," he said softly. There was warmth in his eyes that made Yibo fall silent, not knowing whether to respond with words or just stay quiet and accept it. The cameras were off, but if there had been one camera secretly recording, it would have captured the depth of emotion that they never showed in public. In that room, they were two people who had finally stopped being public figures for a moment, becoming themselves without pressure, without a stage, without an audience, without media narratives, just two hearts trying to understand what the meeting meant after so much time had passed. When they sat back down, the room remained silent. Xiao Zhan played with the hem of Yibo's jacket, a small habit he had done years ago while waiting backstage. Yibo didn't stop him, even letting his fingers move freely without protest. "Do you think we'll have a moment like this again?" Xiao Zhan asked suddenly, his voice containing a fragile tone that he rarely showed. Yibo looked at him for a moment, then shifted his gaze to the floor before answering. "If we don't wait for others to give us time, we can make it ourselves." Xiao Zhan smiled slightly upon hearing that. "That sounds like something I want to see you do," he said, patting his shoulder gently. Yibo sighed, looking back at him with a gaze that only someone who had seen all sides of him, both stubborn and sensitive, could understand. "I don't want to lose anything that makes me feel like today," said Yibo. The sentence might have sounded simple, but the way he said it made Xiao Zhan fall silent for a long time. The crew finally came back in slowly, signaling that their time was almost up. They knew when to be invisible, but they also knew when to get back to work. But before Xiao Zhan stood up, before they returned to being two public figures with strict boundaries, Yibo leaned in slightly and whispered, "Thank you for coming today." Xiao Zhan held his breath for a moment before replying, "Thank you for turning off the camera." They got up, put their professional smiles back on, and returned to being the big stars loved by millions. But there was something different as they walked out of the studio. There was a closeness that was no longer hidden in the tension, a warmth that could no longer be denied. That embrace wasn't just a fleeting moment. It was a reminder that their relationship, no matter how complicated, couldn't be completely erased just because time and work had separated them. And even though the outside world didn't see what happened after the cameras were turned off, the two men knew they had reignited something far more important, a small truth that belonged only to the two of them.